but it's time for a refresh. Let's kind of assess where our business is at right now, how we can make improvements, and hopefully by the end of the year, you look back and you realize how far you've come. I am joined by Kate from Simplicity Ops. She is a longtime friend of the company and also an official Precise FP resource partner now. We're so happy to introduce the Precise FP Resource Partner Program because sometimes you might have a specific PDF that you just love and it's in a specific order, it asks questions in a specific way, and you just want that exact form, let's say, to be digital. Well, Kate can step in and help actually get that completed instead of spending the time yourself keying in all those questions or fixing the order, or if you need to optimize any integrations, add some additional mapping. Maybe you're adding a question in your fact finders, like what's your favorite coffee? And then you want that to go into Redtail. Kate can also help with that as well, with a bunch of other things that we'll talk about. I'll give Kate a second here to go ahead and introduce herself, and then we'll start to talk about operational excellence and where to go for the remainder of the year.
Exciting. Thanks, Nora, so much. I'm glad to be here. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. So, yeah, as Nora said, my name is Kate Guillen. I am the founder of Simplicity Ops. Can you see my screen, Nora? Is it doing
Yes,
it?
I
Okay,
see introduction right now.
great. So at Simplicity Ops, we partner with financial advisors to help build out a people-focused operating system to help you grow and scale your business by delivering excellent customer service. And so that's what we're going to talk about today is, some tools and some ideas for how to better leverage your technology to deliver an amazing client service experience. And so let's dig into this first about why this even matters. Why are we even talking about this today? And what I'm noticing or what I'm learning is that clients' expectations have changed. And today, people are looking for fast, productive, proactive, and personal service. And in a super crowded advisory space, your client experience is really the differentiator. And trust is not built in a single meeting. It's built over time with consistent, thoughtful, meaningful client interactions, and ultimately that's what's fueling client referrals. And so I want to show you how to use some of the tools that you probably already have in your tech stack to make this happen. And so I'd like to first get everybody's wheels spinning a little bit, thinking about what does operational excellence mean to you. Okay. And for me, it's running your firm with clarity, with consistency, with intention. It means that you have super clean processes and aligned systems and a team that feels empowered and can execute in their roles confidently. And so I just those to me are the keys to great operations and operational excellence. And
Yeah.
so all this sounds so good, right? It's like, okay, but how do I actually make that happen? And I'm sure Nora knows where I'm going with this. We've had a lot of conversations about this idea of leveraging your CRM to be the hub of your business. I will get into some other tools, at the end of this conversation, but I promise you, nothing is going to be quite as effective if your CRM is disorganized, disjointed, the team isn't using it consistently. And so if you're going to start this process and building out an amazing client service experience and a scalable client service experience, you want to start with your CRM. And I think this image does a really good job bringing to life this idea of leveraging your CRM to be the hub of your business. And I think it emphasizes the fact that your CRM is a heck of a lot more than a Rolodex. It's actually going to be the one-stop shop for managing contacts, tasks, your sales pipeline, your calendar, a proactive client service experience, and then using workflows, automations, and some other key integrations to help deliver your services at scale. Because, Nora knows this from her experience in the CRM world, that when your CRM is optimized and used consistently across the entire team, it really can power the entire client journey. And so I want to show kind of how to start that process, okay? And it starts with getting clear and thinking through your client service experience. Who it is that you serve, the services you provide, and what do you want this to feel like from a client's perspective? Okay? And so I challenge you to do a little R&D and go treat yourself to a nice experience. How did that make you feel? How were you treated? How did it smell? How did it taste? How did it leave you feeling when you left? Did you go and tell your spouse or your friends or people at work? Like, those are the experiences we are trying to create. And so I challenge you to put yourself in your client's perspective and think through, what do you what do they expect and what do they need to feel to walk away and go, hey, Nora, I had the most incredible experience with my advisor. This is somebody you got to talk to. And they start spreading the word about the incredible experience they're receiving from your firm. And it
Yeah.
comes from being highly intentional. Sorry, go ahead. Were you going to say something?
I love what I'm seeing right now on the screen. I feel like this breaks it down in such a digestible way, and putting in the front end work to just think it out like this could set everyone up for such success. And I don't know about you, but I know, as a parent, I have children in school, I'm part of so many Facebook groups now, and you really just see how people talk about things, whether it's how the school is doing in the drive line or how this new store is that opened up. So you really need to be conscious and have, ears on the ground of how people are perceiving your services, because you don't want to be stuck in that moment where somebody happens to ask if anyone knows of a financial advisor and
Right.
your name gets mentioned in a negative way. That would be awful. You want to make sure you think about how it could be, discussed positively.
I love that. And you're totally spot on. Word travels.
Yeah.
And so being super intentional with what this experience feels like is the first step in like making it happen. And so to your point that you were saying, we need to document this first. We need to get
Yeah.
very clear on who we serve, the services we provide, and how we're going to segment these groups of clients to deliver a scalable experience. And so when I think about this, I like to break up my clients into 4 tiers. I would not exceed that. I think that is overkill. And I break them up and qualify them by something I took from Michael Kitces years ago, the 3 A's: AUM, advocacy, and attitude. How much money do you manage on their behalf, or like how much revenue do they bring into your business, depending on the type of business you're running? Are they an advocate for your business? Because they might be, beneath that $1 million threshold, but they're a killer referral source. So you want to give them that white glove Ritz-Carlton client service experience. And then attitude. Do you enjoy working with them? Okay, so there's qualifying factors that are both emotional and monetary, when qualifying these relationships, and then scaling the services down based on that client segment within your book of business will determine, how frequently are we going to meet with them? How do we deliver advice? You can see some examples here. Are we having a family meeting? We all know that there's a gigantic wealth transfer happening right now, and it is incredibly important that we are nurturing the next generation, especially in our top tier client relationships. And so we want to get in front of the next generation. We want to have meetings. We want to talk about, whether it's college planning or they got their first job, and we want to talk about 401k options, like really nurturing those relationships. And this is an awesome opportunity as you start to design this system to brain dump into something as simple as like an Excel document like this, what you want this to feel like. But to your point, this is just a pipe dream until we actually put it into action. Okay. I think this is great for setting expectations and having an internal document saying, hey, Nora, this is how we operate and here's how, we're expected to run. But like, unless we have action items associated with it, this isn't going anywhere. And so you guys can probably guess what I'm going to say here, but we want to leverage our CRM to be the vehicle for making this stuff happen. Okay. And that's with workflows, integrations like Precise FP, online calendaring tools, templates, recurring activities, reminders, in an effort to be proactive, but being able to do it in a scalable way that is not reinventing the wheel every single time we go to do something. And so,
Yeah, even customizing your list. And if it's a
100%.
great way to get started, there's so much technology out there and so many ways to increase your operational efficiency. And why not start with your CRM? It's a nice home base. You can start to feel comfortable in there and feel good changing all the list appropriately and pulling up the page and knowing exactly who you're talking to and what they like, what they're going through, and kind of getting a full picture of each family you're serving.
Yep, exactly. And then to kind of piggyback on that and take it to the next level, once that foundational stuff is built and we have a framework that we're going to follow to deliver the client service experience, that will lead us into what should our workflows be.
Mm,
Once we know who we serve and the services we provide, a workflow is anything that's done more than 3 times that has more than 3 steps. And so when you're thinking about your CRM, Red Tail or Wealthbox or whatever, being, your task management system, this is, task templates, activity templates, this is automation if you're a Red Tail user, and this is workflows that explain how to execute on whatever it is: opening new accounts, moving money, changing an address, your prospecting process from the time someone calls in and says, hey, heard really great things about you, to the time they're signing paperwork. These are all things that are done more than 3 times that has more than 3 steps. So as
yeah.
you're starting to go ahead.
And how often, if a meeting just ended, you need to start opening an account, how often do you have an hour to go ahead and get everything in motion and open that account and get all the information you need? I'm sure that's not
Never.
very often, right? We're
Yeah.
jumping right into the next meeting or we're jumping right into the next thing that's happening. So being able to have a workflow in place that's going to give your team the information that they need to execute what was discussed in that meeting is so valuable.
Is so valuable. And what we are finding with the advancement, and I'm going to get into some of these other tech tools with these AI note takers and things like G reminders for automation, Zapier. Now we can start to automate that process. So what used to take an hour after a meeting, excuse me, even with the implementation of workflows, is now done in seconds.
Yeah.
The meeting recap is done. The summary is pushed into your CRM. It automatically puts in the follow-up activities, and it can automatically launch workflows that are designed to be delegated to the team. So immediately after that meeting, action items are in place and people can be getting work done.
Mhm.
And when we're talking about this as it relates to the client service experience, what a powerful way to show the level of organization that is behind the scenes, really giving clients the confidence in your team that you guys are in fact executing on what you say you're going to do. That is where we build that trust. So that parlays itself very nicely into the next segment here, talking about some other key pieces of technology you should consider integrating into your practice. And so the name of my business is Simplicity Ops for a reason, because simplicity gets adoption, simplicity is easily understood, and simplicity scales. Complexity does none of that. Okay. And so I know there's a lot of fun tools on the market. I know, we all kind of suffer from the bright, shiny object syndrome, but keep it simple. Okay. Start with your CRM. Once we have a system in place for, like Nora was talking about, managing contacts and the family tree and how people are related and capturing the pertinent information about who these people are. Once we have a contact system, a task management system, our workflows in place, at the end of the day, the bad news is your CRM is only a CRM. It can only do so much. It is not all the things. And so if you are continuing to feel some friction points like data gathering, form filling, pre-filling your CRM, note taking, scheduling, automation, it just still feels really clunky. Like, that is when you go look at the KITS tech map and you start figuring out what solutions are available for the pain point that you're experiencing and solve them with very simple tools that integrate seamlessly with your CRM. Okay. And so what I find from advisors, so for those of you that I haven't met, my background is in supporting financial advisors in an admin and ops capacity. I find that when your admin and your ops people are happy, the client experience runs smoother. And so anything we can do to empower those folks and make life easier for those on the front lines delivering the client service experience, everybody benefits. And the most common pain points that I find are what I just mentioned: data gathering and form filling. Precise FP solves that seamlessly. Okay, we specialize in helping Redtail and Wealthbox users. Precise FP integrates seamlessly and solves that problem very easily. Uh, Tools like G reminders for I'm tripping on my words. G reminders for calendaring. Calendly with Zapier creates automation. These are things that I find once implemented, people are like, oh my gosh, I got like 10 hours a week back in my work week because I'm no longer sending back and forth emails around scheduling. I'm no longer having to send confirmations. I'm no longer having to send meeting agendas. We talked about the AI note taker, having a bot join your calls, join your in-person meetings now, take your notes, put in your action items, summarize meetings, and generate a post-meeting follow-up email. Like these are absolutely no-brainers. One, they improve the client service experience. There's very clear expectations now. We have notes documented, action items in place. But it also makes the advisor and the admin team's life so much easier, because what used to take hours to prepare a meeting agenda can now be done in seconds with things like Jump. Okay.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but what really impresses me about the AI note taker too, because we all have heard best practices of, put it in your CRM, make sure it's always there, but we're human and sometimes it might be in another software. And I'm really impressed how AI note takers can take information from all the platforms and give you that summary. It'll pull from Precise FP, it'll pull from your Redtail, it'll pull from your planning software and give you one nice big summary, which is very impressive to kind of pick up any of those pieces that might have fell on the ground.
I could not agree more. And it's, we've talked to, hundreds of advisors, and one of the biggest pushbacks I get is like, okay, all of this sounds really good, but it sounds like a lot of work. Like, I'm really busy. I'm jamming meeting to meeting. I don't have time to document my notes. Can somebody else on my team do it? I don't have time to launch workflows. I don't have time, and it's like, now there's no argument there. With an AI note taker, and the automations, native automations in Redtail, and automations that we can create in Wealthbox, like, there is no more argument. It is literally as simple as integrating your note taker with whatever video, Zoom platform you're using, and your CRM. And it basically takes care of itself. You have to push in the note documentation. You have to push in the action items. Like, it doesn't get any more simple than that. And for firms that, want to take that level of automation to the next level, there's guys like Ben Olson at BMO Automation that are wizards. I don't know how he does what he does with creating custom bots, but also integrating things like Zapier for tools like Wealthbox that don't have the native automation, to just create so much simplicity, so much clarity, and so much automation within those tools.
Yeah.
So things to explore. If you are feeling like there's friction points and you're a Wealthbox user or a Redtail user, and things just aren't flowing as seamlessly as they should, there are a lot of tools on the market that can create that level of efficiency. Following this call, I don't think we mentioned this, Nora, but we will send a follow-up email with the tools and things that we're talking about today, the presentation. So if anybody has questions about what we're discussing, I will make sure that everybody gets links to these tools so you can go on and explore them. I'll also say that in the beginning of our client engagements, we take a very tech agnostic approach. And I think you should too, okay? I think you should be familiar with the solutions that are available to you, and do some vetting. Go do a demo and figure out which one plays nicest with your CRM, which one checks all, the majority of the boxes. Do a little T-chart of positives and negatives, because there are a lot of tools out there, and I think it is wise to be selective of one that is going to solve the majority of your problems. So all that being said, they also need to play nicely with your CRM. So if you're not a Redtail or Wealthbox user, you need to make sure that you do some research to ensure that they play nicely and integrate directly with your CRM. So that being said, AI is obviously a very buzzy thing happening right now. Incredible advancements being made. And I want to share some really cool ideas for how to incorporate some of these tools into your practice, and ideas that I've seen advisors using that's taken, a well-oiled CRM with, really good integrations and elevated it even more to create a very seamless operating system within their practice. And so obviously a lot of people are using chat and things like that to create content ideas, help drafting emails. I'm not a fan. You guys all know what it feels like to receive an email from clearly a bot, but like at least sharing some ideas about here's what I'm thinking about this week. Here's some content ideas, helping build the foundation for what will be your email newsletter or your LinkedIn post or whatever it is. Using it to help create images, I think, is really cool. But something that we're doing here internally at Simplicity Ops and helping some clients do is creating like a custom chatbot that acts as your internal knowledge base. So, a lot of people that I'm talking to right now are growing their business and adding new team members and need a scalable way of onboarding new team members. Okay. There's nothing worse than spending, 90 days getting somebody onboarded and then they walk away with that institutional knowledge. We want to capture that in a place that is easily accessed by the team, especially new hires. And there's custom GPTs, and there's tools like Delphi, is a tool that I've been using that basically creates a clone of Simplicity Ops's brain. Okay, it sounds crazy, weird, creepy, but it's so cool. And so we've been able to dump all of our course material, all of our trainings, all of our team conversations, all of our, project champion calls where we're meeting with leaders of organizations and solving problems, all of our written correspondence where we're explaining a question about what's the difference between a tag group or a keyword, or what marketing solution would you recommend, or how do I run this kind of report. All of that now lives in this centralized chatbot, so anybody on my team can go ask it a question about whatever, and it's not going to be the Google explanation, it's not going to be the Redtail explanation, it's not going to be the Wealthbox explanation, it's going to be the Simplicity Ops best practice that is regurgitated to you.
Yeah, you just created a silent Slack. You don't have a bunch of Slack messages
Yep.
waiting for you because it's all been answered.
I've never thought of it that way. That's a really good way to frame it. But what a phenomenal way to cut down on back and forth communication with the team. And it's been very helpful for our team members internally. And it's something that we're helping build for some of our clients that are in that growth phase and need a scalable way to bring people on. And we're testing this because we're also going to build it for client facing communication. So in our learning system, you'd be able to go say, hey, Kate, I'm working through whatever and I have a question on this. And the bot would respond to you in milliseconds instead of having to wait for the technical expert on my team to get back to you when she's on calls all day. Right?
Mhm.
So I want to just bring these things to people's attention because they're revolutionizing the way we bring on team members, or revolutionizing the way we are communicating with our clients and going back to the client experience. People want real-time information. People want answers right now. They don't want to wait, a couple days lag time to get what they need. And I'm finding that when built well and conditioned well, you got to train them, right? You got to train these bots and spend some time with them to build their mind. They're a phenomenal time-saving tool for your team. Talking about AI powered data, cleanup, workflow automation, meeting prep, things. We talked about G Reminders as an online calendaring tool, but the thing that I really like about G Reminders in combination with Wealthbox is it creates automations that don't currently exist in Wealthbox. When you schedule a call in G Reminders, it automatically flows through to the Wealthbox calendar. It'll create a contact for you, and it will launch the corresponding meeting workflow, which tells your team how to prep day of and follow up for whatever that meeting is. That level of automation has saved, I can't even tell you how many clicks it would take for an administrative person to execute on something like that.
Mhm.
So keeping tools like that in mind, keeping tools like Jump in mind for note-taking, documentation, and meeting prep. being the admin person in the office, I used to spend hours preparing meeting agendas because that was important for our client experience. We wanted to be set very clear expectations for our clients of what they can expect coming into whatever the meeting might be. And Jump solves that. Jump can read and comb the information from your CRM and prepare that meeting agenda instead of spending hours reading through notes and activities and everything that has transpired since the last time you met with the client.
Yeah, and I
And then,
found
oh,
that
good.
if you take all that cumulative knowledge that's coming from that AI note taker and even give it back to AI and say, okay, based on all of these meetings, prepare content for LinkedIn that
Right.
is addressing my pain points to my target audience. It's going to be able to sift through all of those meetings and really pull up to the surface what you've been discussing most of what's just out there that people are dealing with. And then you have a content machine essentially of things pertaining to that exact topic.
100%. I mean, we do it. All of our calls are recorded. All of our introductory calls are recorded. All of our prospecting calls are recorded. And we literally put all of that through chat and say, what are the top 5 pain points that our advisors are feeling this week? And how
Mm.
can we solve them with educational material or templates or whatever? And that's what we're pumping out in our newsletter. And that's what we're pumping out on LinkedIn to help advisors just operate better and live better lives, honestly. The last thing I want to talk about on this before we move into a couple of other things here is AI powered data cleanup. And this is something I'm really excited about. For those of you that are WealthBox users, WealthBox now has a native AI tool. And it's going to be an unbelievable time saver for keeping data clean. If your database is disorganized, none of anything that I just explained to you is going to be effective. Your team is not going to trust the systems that are built on the faulty foundation of disorganized data. And so being able to leverage that native AI tool to say, what contacts are missing addresses, social security numbers, date of birth, the regulatory required information. Who have I not met with in the last 90 days? Who doesn't have a proactive, custom field on file indicating their review date? You're going to be able to source that kind of information via this tool instead of having to click around and create um, all sorts of reports. So I'm fired up about that. I'm super excited about that. And
Yeah, I
then
didn't know that's how what the functionality entailed. I thought it was it's listening in on the meetings aspect, but it's actually looking within the data and letting you know where there's holes.
it's going to do everything. It's going to do,
Okay.
yeah, it's going to be, I think the initial rollout is the meeting summary stuff. But in conversations that I've had with some of the WealthBox team, it's going to be able to do more advanced, like administrative tasks, super effectively, which I'm excited about from an admin perspective. The amount of time that we spend keeping databases organized and cleaned up, this should be a
Yeah.
gigantic time saver. So
Yeah, I like that. I was even thinking once you get that group of people missing their social or their date of birth or their address, you could then use Precise MP to target that specific group, send out a engagement, have them return it, and push it back in a wealth box. And now, well, the AI is happy. It's like you solved this.
exactly. No, I'm really excited to see the direction that this is all going. But there's a couple things that I want to address because all this sounds really exciting and really good. But there are some very common pitfalls that I find we fall into. All of us as owners, operators, we get excited. I talked about the bright, shiny object syndrome. We get really excited about all these tools and we just buy, pile on, pile on, pile on. And now we've got redundancy. Now we've got an overcomplicated system that nobody's going to use. We're forking out all this cash for tools we don't need or don't use or don't play nicely together. So just be cognizant of that. I can't tell you how many organizations we get into and we spend so much time undoing. So I'm not kidding when I say start with your CRM. Get that foundation built, the data well organized, get the team using it as how I showed the hub of your business, and then look for tools, simple tools that are easy to use, that are designed to integrate with your CRM. And that will help you avoid the whole bright, shiny object syndrome. Poor adoption, okay? This piggybacks on that. When a system is overcomplicated, people get confused. People don't feel confident in using the system and they don't use it. There is nothing worse than, I mean, One bad apple ruins the bunch. If there's one person on your team that is afraid or unsure or just doesn't feel confident using these tools, it can really create a bottleneck and a breakdown of the entire system. And I find that's oftentimes because the system is overcomplicated. Even when you have workflows, even when you have SOPs in place, if people are having to go to 10 places to execute on one single, client service request, it just is convoluted unnecessarily. So be mindful of that and be selective in the tools that you use and keep it simple. All right. Let's well, I guess I just talked about this. I jumped the gun. Optimize your CRM, map out your client service experience, document your processes. Okay. This is the framework. This is the step-by-step for how I would tackle this. And once you've got, your system humming, I want to make it very clear that these systems and this technology are like living, breathing pieces of your business. And it's not just like a set it and forget it thing. There needs to be some ownership, and there needs to be somebody on your team that is going to maintain these systems. Just like Nora's point, even if you're leveraging an AI bot to like run cleanup and flush out, who's missing date of births or whatever, that needs to be maintained ongoingly. Even if you're using Precise FP to then capture that information, there needs to be a system in place for obtaining good information and maintaining it ongoingly so that your CRM and these tools can be a source of truth for managing your client relationships. I think people are always really surprised by that. They're like, well, I built it all out and it's all humming and we're doing so great, but like something gets disconnected. G reminders isn't flowing through to the calendar anymore. Like things break. And somebody needs to be on top of it, and somebody needs to be maintaining your systems in order for them to be effective long term.
Yeah, and it starts small when one person just sees something that, oh, I'll just manually do it this time, and I'll just manually do it the next time and the next time. That time adds up, and that's where your processes start to really just get get on people's nerves is the easiest way to say it.
It's so true, and I feel like that I do when I talk to advisors and their teams, they're like, oh my gosh, this is just so much work, and I always reframe it as like, yes, this is short term pain for long term gain. But if you keep doing the same old thing, expecting different results, isn't that the definition of insanity?
Mhm.
It's never going to get any better. And the cost of inaction is incredibly expensive. So if you're thinking about, if you're feeling any of these pain points that we've been talking about, this is your sign to start dialing in your operations. It is how you, some of the feedback that I get from advisors, it's how better serve your clients. Our clients are happier. Our teams are happier. We improve employee retention, client retention. I sleep better at night because processes are documented. I'm not worried that things are going to slip through the cracks. I went on vacation for the first time. I didn't have to bring my computer. It creates a level of like clarity and seamlessness internally that helps all of us just live better, breathe better. And so I want to share a couple of resources that we'll give everybody as a follow-up email later on this week, is how to start organizing your database, the importance of using a style guide or like a glossary to your database. We'll give everybody a copy of that you can apply to your whichever CRM you guys are using. But that again acts as the foundation for this entire process. So don't skip over the data component of building out this system. We'll give you an activity priority legend that you can apply that'll help you start to think about, using your CRM as a task management system to assign tasks and assign priorities and set expectations and use it as a tool for communicating with your team in a centralized place. We've got that service model template that we'll give to you. So you can start kind of brainstorming who you serve, the services you provide, and then a couple of workflow whiteboarding templates. The implementation of workflows is a gigantic time saver, but they take a little bit of work. They take a little bit of love, and so we'll give you the framework for some that you can apply to your business so you can start to iterate off of them and tailor them to your uniqueness, your custodial requirements, your team structure. But know that like workflows are a perfect example of short-term pain for long-term gain. That is how you set expectations and improve the client experience, but they do take a little bit of work. And we've got some really helpful resources that we can give to you to kind of get your wheels spinning so you can start to build out these systems. You know what else is not on here, but I will include, Nora, is the links to some of those tech solutions we talked about. Obviously, Precise FP, BMO, Jump, some other AI note takers, Zox. What else did we talk about? Delphi, that AI clone, the custom chat bot. I'll make sure that everybody has those tech tools too, in case you guys are curious on doing some research on those and how you can incorporate them into your practice.
Yeah. What's your favorite template?
In terms of like a workflow, or what kind of template?
Yeah, I would say first, is it like a note template, activity template, workflow
Mm,
template, and then what of those is your
okay,
favorite?
so I like, okay, it's twofold. I like activity templates in Redtail because you can literally create an activity template for all the repeatable things that you do. Let's just use like an address change or opening a new account. And by leveraging that and the native automation, it'll trigger the address change workflow. So by you assigning like, hey, Nora, I need you to change an address, I put it in, it fires off the workflow that tells you how to execute. Prepare the paperwork, send it out, make sure you get it back, save it to the server, submit it to the custodian. Like that whole process follows the automation within that template. Okay. In Wealthbox, I really love workflows for meetings because you can use tools like G Reminders that automatically launches an intro meeting that starts your prospecting process. I love automation. I
Yeah.
love, we are kind of geeks about like click counting. And so where I can eliminate clicks by leveraging automation, I am a huge fan of. And in terms of like the templates that we are going to give everybody are templates that can be adapted for multiple different things. So we'll include the review meeting template that you can literally use as the framework for any type of meeting that you run. Every meeting has a prep component, a day of component, and a follow-up component. So you can take all of these templates and iterate on them and clone them and retitle them and reword them to frame out any type of meeting that you have. We also include the Benny change workflow, okay? Literally any paperwork processing that you do, you can take that workflow and adapt it for opening any type of account, moving money, anything that requires paperwork, you can adapt these workflows and apply it to whatever process you're trying to create. So just think of like, we're trying to help you guys work smarter and not harder. So as much as you can, clone workflows and repurpose some of these templates. I would highly advise that you do that.
Yeah. And just as I know everyone on this call knows this, but everything just gets more complicated. Having these processes in place as things continue to get more complicated, like marketing laws have changed, and you have to now gather consent to send over information or whatever it could be. Now you have to include that of, did they answer yes or no? Did we send it? Did we send? And I know some people use Precise P for that as well. Of, I do consent or I do not consent for text messages or whatever it could be. Did I send it?
Mhm.
And what was the response? Something simple like that, throwing that into how is the team going to handle this could really
Right.
throw everything off. So instead, you could have a workflow and just stick it right there in the middle, and then it's solved.
It's how we avoid fire drills. It's how we keep the reactive stuff at bay. You need to be proactive and you need to have a process in place for something even as simple as that, right?
Yeah. And it's no shame. I know, life happens over the year. You might open up your duplicate contact report and there's 200 duplicates, or
Okay.
there
It
might
happens
be,
to the best of us.
yeah, statuses that you pull up all the people under one specific status, and you're like, that is a 4-digit number. There's definitely no shame in that happening. But it's just a matter of having, how do we address that and how do we fix it?
Well,
Awesome.
I'll
Well,
open it up for questions if anybody's got questions. Otherwise, there's a couple ways to get in touch with us. If you want to email any specific questions, you want to jump on a call with me and talk about your specific firm, would be happy to do that. And then a good way to keep in touch with us is in our community. Nora's also in our community. It's a great place to connect with other RIA owners and operators and stay up to speed on current technology trends, or just have a community of people that you can ask questions to that are on the front lines similar to you guys.
Yes, I agree. You have a great community set up. You guys feel so comfortable asking each other questions. The questions get addressed right away. You've worked with so many offices that you have a very unique perspective on how to solve and address everything. So I really suggest that you take advantage of that opportunity to just talk about your firm, your office, what is happening right now in the moment, and where you want to go. It'll really add value to your firm.
Well, thank you.
And Amy asked, do you work with Advisor Engine CRM? And if so, do you believe they have good integrations like Redtail and Wealthbox? It's a good question.
Maybe you can answer that. I have no experience. We work exclusively with Redtail and Wealthbox users for the simple fact that they're the two industry leaders. They get the majority of the market share, highest customer satisfaction rate. So we have our hands full with just Redtail and Wealthbox users.
Yeah. Yeah, I like Advisor Engine. I find it very nice UI. Um, you would have to check on, I wouldn't say the integrations are as in-depth as a red tail or a wealth box, but nonetheless, it's something that you can kind of see, test out the other systems and see where you want to go. And how do you find workflows when you need to like maybe switch services? Like you are moving from Advisor Engine over into Redtail, and there were systems in place. How do you suggest to address that?
Oh man, that is a good question. It's an undertaking. Well, okay. Let me preface it by saying this: is the juice worth the squeeze? Are the I would never leave a CRM that would be like a lateral move. There would have to be a really convincing argument to move from one to another. Um, because moving CRMs can be incredibly disruptive, especially if you have your systems and processes already built out. Um, Having said that, there are, Wealthbox is so innovative, and we are helping a lot of advisors move from various CRMs over to Wealthbox because of just like the technological advances being made within that system. And it's done very methodically. Obviously, there's a big export of contact information, notes, activities, phone calls, all of that. We actually like move all of the workflows and automation and templates over, and then do very intentional team training to make sure that everybody feels really comfortable using the new system. So it needs to be done very methodically, so that when people get into the system, it's not a huge disturbance.
Yeah, I agree. I know, I don't know if you've heard that stat where people have changed spouses more often than they change their bank, because once people are at a bank, they're like, I'm not just leaving for any reason. Like I have to really be convinced.
Yeah, I mean, it's integrated into like every single bill that's paid. I get it. And the CRM is very similar. So if you're thinking about moving to a Redtail or a Wealthbox, I would be happy to have that conversation with you and give you the tools that you need to do that with ease. Because, and I say with ease, it's still hard.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. And Guadalupe is asking, are there any AI note takers either of you have come across and have used that you would recommend? Our team is thinking of using Jump AI, but we would rather use an in-house AI note taker like Wealthbox's newest beta.
Yeah. So most of our clients are using Jump or Zox. And we're going to keep those tools in place until we have full confidence in the Wealthbox tool. But again, going back to the name of my business is simplicity. If there's an opportunity to like close a browser, there's an opportunity to close, one of the tabs that we have open because now the tool exists natively in our CRM, I am a huge fan.
I
I'm
can
trying to work
imagine.
smarter, not harder here. And I want my systems as centralized as possible. And so having all of these external systems just complicates things. So if they're, I would continue using Jump until the Wealthbox tool is dialed. But I have no doubt that that will be in a very timely fashion.
Yeah, with anything new, there's of course bugs and whatnot, but once that initial part is over, it's a great time to jump in. I personally like FinMate AI. I like Zox a lot too, especially with the integration with Precise FP. There is nothing that has impressed me more of pulling up a Precise FP profile form and it's completely blank. And then once you take the AI note taker, export that extracted information from that meeting and refreshed the page, the whole profile page could essentially be populated with information, and then that could be shipped out to the rest of the masses.
And that's exactly why you need to consider all the tools that you're using and select a note taker that plays nicest with all those tools. So
Yeah.
we can give you all these recommendations, but like until I know your specific tech stack, you need to take a neutral approach. Because if you are using Wealthbox and Precise FP, maybe FinMate makes more sense. There's just you got to see what what is the end goal, what are you trying to accomplish, and then select the tool that's going to get you there most quickly.
Hmm. But the future is exciting. I know I used to get questions, and my automatic response was always like, the machine can't do that. The machine can't extract this, or the machine doesn't know if this is John's incorrect number, or this is his summer house, or whatnot. And it's really gotten to the point where the machine actually can do that. So it's a
Like,
really nice time to be alive.
it's amazing.
Yes, and you're welcome. We got to thank you for that response.
Good.
All right. Well, we want to definitely thank everyone so much for your time today. Hopefully, you got some motivation to go ahead and put some processes in place or just assess. Take a Friday meeting and just assess where are we in this situation? Do we have a sheet we could look at that displays our model service? Are we neglecting a certain tier? Can we add something to a certain tier? And then you can kind of go from there. But it really does make the difference, and your clients will see it, your team will see it, and it's worth that work.
Completely agree. Thank you so much for having me. This was a fun conversation.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and have a great rest of the day.